George Herbert Walker Bush was born on June 12, 1924, in Milton, Massachusetts, into a prominent New England family. His father, Prescott Bush, was a successful banker and future U.S. Senator, while his mother, Dorothy Walker Bush, came from a line of influential businessmen. Raised in a household rooted in discipline, faith, and civic duty, George grew up with a strong sense of responsibility. His childhood was shaped by elite education and summering in Kennebunkport, Maine, where he developed a love for the sea and public service. This early foundation of privilege and purpose would later fuel his desire to serve his country in multiple capacities. At age 18, Bush volunteered for the U.S. Navy during World War II, becoming one of the youngest naval aviators at the time. He flew 58 combat missions and was shot down in the Pacific, but rescued by a U.S. submarine. This act of bravery earned him the Distinguished Flying Cross and left a lasting impression of duty and patriotism. After returning from war, George Bush married Barbara Pierce, whom he had met at a Christmas dance in 1941. They wed in January 1945, beginning a partnership that would last 73 years, one of the longest marriages in presidential history. Barbara became a central figure in his life, offering emotional support during the highs and lows of his career. Together, they raised 6 children, including future President George W. Bush. The Bush's marriage represented stability, warmth, and traditional American values, and Barbara would later become one of the most beloved first ladies in history. Seeking independence from his family's shadow, George and Barbara moved to West Texas in 1948. In Midland, he entered the burgeoning oil industry, starting from the bottom despite his privileged background. Over time, he co-founded Zapata Petroleum and became a millionaire by age 40. The dusty oil fields of Texas gave him first-hand experience in hard work and business risks. It was also here that he established a strong political network. This move marked a transition from East Coast elite to rugged Texan businessman, helping reshape his public image and connecting him with everyday Americans. After an unsuccessful Senate run in 1964, Bush found success in 1966, winning a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives from Texas's 7th District. He quickly built a reputation as a moderate Republican, supporting civil rights legislation and environmental policies while maintaining conservative fiscal views. His ability to navigate both sides of the aisle gained him respect, and he was seen as a rising star within the GOP. Serving 2 terms, he laid the groundwork for a broader political career, gaining valuable legislative experience and national visibility. Appointed by President Richard Nixon, Bush became the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations in 1971. At a time of growing Cold War tensions and anti-American sentiment, his diplomatic finesse was crucial. He advocated for U.S. interests while fostering dialogue with allies and adversaries alike. Though his tenure was brief, it sharpened his skills in international relations and exposed him to complex global dynamics. It also allowed him to expand his political influence beyond domestic issues and positioned him as a capable statesman. During the Watergate scandal, President Nixon appointed Bush as chairman of the Republican National Committee. It was one of the most turbulent periods in American politics. Tasked with defending the party's integrity amid national outrage, Bush balanced loyalty with principle. When evidence became undeniable, he urged Nixon to resign for the good of the country. His handling of this crisis demonstrated his moral compass and earned him respect, even from political opponents. It proved his ability to lead in times of national upheaval. From 1974 to 1975, Bush served as chief U.S. liaison to the People's Republic of China, effectively America's ambassador before formal diplomatic ties were established. Living in Beijing, he immersed himself in Chinese culture, often biking through the city to interact with locals. His low-key approach helped thaw tensions between the two nations and laid the foundation for future cooperation. This experience deepened his understanding of China's political system, giving him unique insight that would later prove invaluable during his presidency. Appointed CIA director by President Gerald Ford, Bush assumed leadership at a time when public trust in the intelligence community was low. In less than a year, he stabilized morale within the agency and reformed internal procedures, restoring professionalism. Though the post curtailed his political prospects temporarily, it greatly expanded his strategic and global awareness. His work at the CIA demonstrated his competence in handling sensitive national security matters and further solidified his qualifications for higher office. George H.W. Bush served as vice president during both terms of the Reagan administration. Though initially rivals, he became a loyal and influential deputy, chairing task forces on deregulation and drug policy. He represented the U.S. on foreign trips and offered a pragmatic counterbalance to Reagan's ideological fervor. His behind-the-scenes influence helped shape policy, and his years as VP positioned him as the heir apparent to the presidency, allowing him to build strong ties within the Republican establishment. In 1988, Bush won the presidency, defeating Democratic nominee Michael Dukakis in a landslide. His campaign famously promised, "Read my lips, no new taxes." He brought with him decades of experience in government, business, and diplomacy. As president, he emphasized a kinder, gentler nation, sought to improve education, and signed the Americans with Disabilities Act. His election marked the culmination of a lifetime in public service, and he entered office as one of the most well-prepared leaders in American history. One of the defining moments of his presidency came in 1991 when Bush led a coalition of 35 nations in Operation Desert Storm to expel Iraqi forces from Kuwait. The swift and decisive military action was praised for its effectiveness and international support. Bush resisted calls to invade Baghdad, focusing instead on restoring sovereignty to Kuwait and preserving the coalition. His leadership during the Gulf War elevated his status as a global statesman and demonstrated America's military strength in the post-Cold War world. Despite a 90% approval rating after the Gulf War, Bush lost his re-election bid to Democrat Bill Clinton. Economic recession, a broken tax promise, and Ross Perot's third-party candidacy all played roles. The defeat was a personal disappointment, especially after such strong early popularity. Yet, Bush handled the transition with dignity and grace, famously leaving a heartfelt letter for Clinton that exemplified his statesmanship and personal decency. His post-presidency image grew more favorable in the years that followed. In 2000, George H.W. Bush witnessed a historic family milestone. His son, George W. Bush, was elected the 43rd President of the United States. It was only the second time in history that a father and son both became U.S. presidents. Though he kept a low profile during his son's presidency, the elder Bush offered guidance behind the scenes. The event reinforced the Bush family's lasting impact on American political life and added a remarkable chapter to his legacy. In 2018, George H.W. Bush was honored across the nation for his lifelong dedication to public service and leadership. Tributes from leaders and citizens alike celebrated his values of integrity, humility, and kindness. His legacy continues to inspire Americans through his example of quiet strength and unwavering commitment to the country.